So I'm finally getting a chance to record my third birth story. This is my third birth, second free birth, and I just wanted to share that experience. And then I had wanted to do this months ago and then share more about my fourth pregnancy and eventual free birth. So it's been a while. I'm already about 23-ish weeks into my fourth pregnancy. So I'm going to kind of backtrack eventually and share that story, share about my own prenatal care and things that I do for my wild and free birth pregnancy experience. So my third birth, I decided to do even less than I did with my second. I didn't do my measuring, of the fundus as much. I didn't really do too much blood pressure tracking or anything like that, because I found after my first free birth that there was really nothing, no reason that I needed to track all that stuff. I didn't have any issues. Nobody, bothered me about anything. And I just wanted to keep it as simple and peaceful and just everyday kind of thing as possible for my third. So I ended up getting pregnant pretty soon after my second daughter was born. I think there was about 17 months between them by the time he was born. So I think because of that, I had a little bit of anxiety going back into pregnancy and going back, towards going through the whole birth process again, which I found kind of surprising, because I wasn't scared of birth. I didn't have any fear or anything, but I ended up having these kind of anxieties about going through it again. And I think it was because just because of the intensity. My daughter, she came fast and it was intense, and I knew what to expect, but I don't know, something about it just gave me a little bit of anxiety. So during that pregnancy with my third, I had to work through those anxieties. And the way I did that was, eventually I just had to sit with it. I had to sit with those feelings and work through them and figure out what was bothering me. So I think I fought it for a little while and just kind of tried to ignore it, until one night I just couldn't sleep, kind of had a little bit of a panic attack, and decided I need to sit with this. I need to think about, where this is coming from and let it go. I need to let it go so I can have a peaceful pregnancy and birth experience with my son. So I did that evening. I just sat there and I thought about it, and I told myself, you're not scared of this. You've done it. You know what it's like. You actually love it and want to do it again. And, and it might be intense, might be more intense. It's definitely going to be a different experience. And all of that is okay. And you are okay with that. And just sitting with those feelings and talking myself through that was such just an enlightening experience. Like, it didn't even take long. Like, I just sat there for a few minutes and worked through it mentally. Just, kind of gave myself a little pep talk, I guess. And it was amazing. After that, I had released this anxiety and went on with my pregnancy, and it was just beautiful. And I, ate healthy, and I tried to exercise and tried to make sure that I didn't get the pelvic pain that I did with my second. I was very careful not to overexert myself, and I did stretches and things, some pelvic stretches and squats to relieve any pain that I did start to feel before it got too bad. And it was just a beautiful experience, and I was able to enjoy the rest of that pregnancy. And it might be more work for some people to get through any kind of anxieties or fears you have. But for me, it was really simple, because I already knew that I love this thing, I love the experience of birth and pregnancy, and it's all very amazing to me, and I'm at peace with it. So I think it was a little bit easier for me than it might be for some to work through those anxieties. So then, you know, I had a feeling my baby was going to come, you know, a little sooner than 40 weeks, if you will, because I don't really think babies are late or early or anything like that, you know, if they don't come at 40 weeks. Like, they come when they're ready. So I had a feeling he would be ready a little before my kind of guess date that I got from a midwife, because I did have to see a midwife once just to verify the pregnancy for the birth certificate. Luckily, I found a very wonderful midwife who supports Freebirth, and you know, it's just great to sit and talk to and hang out with for a little bit while she verifies this thing that's quite obvious. So, yeah. So then, where was I? Oh yeah, so I knew my son would come a little bit earlier than this guess date or whatever. I knew he was going to come in October. My birthday's in October, my partner's, and I just knew he was going to come somewhere in between then. And so he actually ended up coming the day after my birthday. So I didn't really do any kind of celebration or anything. Just I think I had a art class that I taught that evening, and you know, was just living life, doing my thing, whatever. And I remember on the way home seeing the moon. It was I believe a full hunter's moon on the way home, and it was beautiful. I think I took some photos of it, and this was actually the first time that I ended up going into labor around a full moon. So that evening I went home, you know, enjoyed viewing the sky as I often do. I love looking up at the sky and just seeing all the celestial bodies up there and how beautiful all that is. And you know, went home, didn't do anything special that I recall. Of course, I had to take my daughter to school the next day, so we all went to bed, you know, and got ready for that. And then the next day, you know, got up around 7, took my daughter to school. One of the teachers who helps her get out of the car in the morning asked, you know, when I was due, and I just said, well, any time now. So throughout my pregnancy, I had been having, hold on, there's a side.